Where I grew up, Lahaina, Maui. At the time, the population, I think, was 500. I used to live right on the waterfront. Moved down here when I was about my sophomore year. Then I went to St. Louis, 1955. The last class, St. Louis College. After that, St. Louis High School. That's a good question, why I became a firefighter. Actually, my wife said, go take 2 tests. So I took the one for the police, and I took one for the firehouse. And I scored rather well in both. At that time, you had a height requirement. I was just a little short, supposedly. That's why I never went to the police. Then the firemen called me. When they called me, I was at Fort Benning, Georgia, with the reserves. My mentors in the firehouse, well, there's several, but I would say the one that came to mind was Chief Oliver Stone. He was a battalion chief, great man, and he solved these problems all with ho'oponopono, I think is the word. And you sit down and talk to them. He'd sit down and talk to the one that had the problem. He'd talk to the one that had the complaint. He'd bring the 2 guys together, and before you knew it, everybody shaking hands and walked out. He was really, really good at it. And then the other guy was John DeCastro, was just the opposite. He was a real nice guy too. He had the ability to chew you out without you even knowing. Yeah, it happens where this guy really fouled up and he was upset. And he talked to the guy in the morning, and then we cleaned the yard in the afternoon, and the guy said, "Oh, he was upset with me, wasn't he?" But anyway, that's how good he was. And another guy was Freddie Awana. He was another, when I was with training, he was the battalion chief. He was another real gentleman, real nice guy. Well, there were several. Tommy Blondin too. All different personalities. The firefighter is the camaraderie. And it's a family away from the family. And kind of miss that. I said, okay, first alarm, you gotta buy ice cream and cake or whatever. I thought they were kidding. Good. Didn't take long for getting my first alarm. I was at Central at that time. And Central, at that year, took the most alarms from all the fire stations. I don't think it ever took number 1 again. We caught so darn many fires, unbelievable. Anyway, yeah, that was Central Fire Station. I had to buy ice cream and cake. Like I said, I thought they were kidding first, but they were not. My most enjoyable probably would be battalion chief and captain. You kind of in your own house kind of thing. When you come upstairs to administration, okay, you deal with everything, but battalion chief, you're comfortable, and captain, you're very comfortable. You have full control, of course, when you come manager, chief or assistant deputy or assistant chief or whatever. It's a little different story. The firehouse changes a little. You're dealing with what? At that time, it 1,042, I think. I don't know what the manpower today. My most challenging day. Very few firefighters will ever experience what I did. I was a new firefighter, Central Fire Station, 1960. They had the riots at Oahu Prison. They were calling for manpower backup. They wasn't calling for engine backup, they were calling manpower backup. In fact, the captain, Herbert Awohi, from this station, was the captain, and a pickup truck, and he went around and picked up 5 of us, I think. It was Awohi, Pani, myself, Philip Chong, one more guy. 5 of us went to our prison for backup. So all we had was our firefighting outfit and our boots and stuff. And we got there and they said, okay, we're the backup crew. Take a 2.5 inside the prison. And as you go in, they lock the gate in back of you. And then you go further in, then they lock the sally port. You're confined, like a triangle place. You confined. Oh, and they had a squad of policemen that came in with us. They never had no guns. No guns because they are not authorized to use weapons in the prison. And the only thing they had, they had billy sticks. But the policeman said, hey, you guys take care of us now. Because we had a 2.5, fully charged, barrel tip. It was fully charged. And we was locked up in there. And we walk inside, and Philip Chong, and he's the guy that died in Manoa, fall off the Manoa Falls. He went inside, and he was a well-known guy. And all the prisoners yelled, hey, Philip, hey, what you doing here? What you doing here? He said, hey, what are you doing here? So anyway, was in there, and there was 2 wings. One wing was rioting, and this other wing was just secured, locked up. The smallest guy was the leader. Small little guy, well, big guys inside and everything. He was the leader. He was telling them what to do. They took all their mattresses. They're locked up, and then they put it in the center. And they were trying to come out. They were trying to break out, and the big brass locks that goes into like this, they had pushed it up. It was just hanging on by the hair. They didn't realize it. Just a little bit more, and they would have been free. But anyway, we were on this side, and they were in that side. And there was a prison guard sergeant there. So they got smart now. They put all their mattresses together, and they light it. They light the mattress. So we was going to put it out. Blaisdell said, leave that damn thing burn. Let it burn. So it got awfully hot in there, and they were screaming and yelling and help, fireman, help, help, help. Anyway, finally Blaisdell said, okay, put the fire out. We put it out. Now they were exhausted from the heat. They were not so aggressive anymore. When you're young kids, you're growing up, and you're like, time out, kings, time out. So they all yelling, the prisoners yelling, kings, kings. We told the guard, we want ice water. So the prison guard said, okay, just stop. You go get ice water for them, give them water. It was kind of a joke, but anyway. But they bust everything in there. Everything that you could see, the toilets, everything. There was nothing. Anything on the walls, everything was gone. They tore it and break everything up. But anyway, 10 o'clock that night we were in. We came out, I think, about 8 o'clock next morning. We were in there locked up. We were locked up with them. They were on this side, we were on this side. And it was amazing. But came pretty close. If they break in, I don't know what the hell they was going to do with us. I mean, we'd shoot them with the 2.5, but I don't know how much they're going to do. Straight stream, barrel tip. Yeah, that was a challenging night. Of course, I had a few more in a firehouse. You ever had a weapon pulled on you? With the sniper right here. It was in a roof building. I was a battalion chief at Aikahi and responding out to the North Shore. And in front of me, there's a policeman responding. He pulls over to let us go by. I said, no, that's not right. Something is wrong. So pass him. Anyway, we get to the scene. And the captain came up to me, told me, oh, Chief, the house down there, that's where the fire was. So I started to walk down. In fact, I walked all the way down with him. But he told me, but Chief, this was a domestic, and the husband got upset, and he shot the house up with an automatic weapon. He shot the whole house up. And he's here. I thought, don't look, but he's to our left. He's right there, but we came here to put the fire out. We're not involved with the family. We just, the house, and that's it. And the guy was right there. Now, how the heck I spotted all this stuff? Well, Remember, I just had returned from Fort Benning, Georgia, military officer school, and they taught us target detection, sniper, and I guess when you learn it, and you. So that's how I picked it up, and he was right there with a M14 or the rifle. Yeah, M14 everything was. And then another one where we went to this, in fact, right next to the fire station in Waimanalo. I was acting captain that night. Drive up, respond, go, guy need help, go over there. This guy comes out with a polo knife full of blood. He even stabbed his wife. And, oh boy. He told us, guys, don't come any further. So, okay, we're not going to come. We're going to stay right here now. So there was a standoff, but until the cops came. So there was a few challenging times in the firehouse. Besides fires, I had a three-story building. Punny was with me. Punny, the same guy was he was with me. So the chief told us, get in the building, but feel it fully involved. Get in there and put the fire out. Well, I'm not going to say who the chief was, but anyway, okay. So we grabbed the hose, go inside. The chief moved, the Punny said, get out. Get out, this building going to collapse. I was the front guy, he was behind me on a 2.5. Oh, Punny was big and strong, and he was a legend in himself. He said, come back. So we just got back. And then the building collapsed right in front of me. Right in front of me. Then the chief said, what the hell are you guys doing in there? The same guy that told us get in there. Okay, but this is the old school now. This is the old school. Okay, anyway. But he saved my life, Punny. If not him and I would probably die. But there's, that's firefighting. As a chief, I was honest and fair to all the firefighters. Maybe some think otherwise, but remember, the chief knows the whole record of everything, and the firefighters don't know the whole record. So based on that, I would say I would like them to remember me as being, I was fair and honest, and especially on promotions like that. Hey, everybody's working hard to support their family, and sometimes you get cliques and you get hooies and family ties and all of that. And I tried as much as possible as a chief to not let that influence my decision. In fact, when they was interviewing guys and the final list coming out, who's number 1, number 2, number 3, or whatever, I would walk in there and collect all the papers, all the notes. Guys writing it down. Who's number 1 or number 2? I know when soon they leave, they're going to tell everybody who was number 1, number 2. I collect all the papers and give it to Nancy. And I said, Nancy, take it. Nancy was the administrative girl. She was really, really good. So actually, only her and I don't share it with nobody. That's it. I always felt that everybody work hard, study hard. They deserve to get what they worked for. Because one of the things that the interview too was, and which I didn't especially care for, is, and I don't know if they do it today, after you interview everybody, then they have, okay, let's go over the notes and pick who's number 1, number 2, number 3. I didn't care for that. You graded it, that's it. I don't want juggling around, because then that's when all these cliques and everything going to come in. Because if I don't know you and I know him, I tried to make it, in fact, Nancy used to tell me, I know who's going to be, well, I was on the mainland one time, at fire department function, and couple guys had to be appointed or whatever. And she went through. She sent it through. So when she came back, she said, oh, by the way, we promoted these guys. I said, oh. She said, yeah, I know you're going to write down the list. I said, oh, yeah. So, okay, that's it. But Nancy was good. Like I said, honesty and fair play. Oh, sometimes there'd be a problem. Black would call me up, who was the union president, call me up. He said, we got to talk. Okay, come over. We sit down. And Black was fair. He was for the men. Black was fair. I was for the department, and I was for the men. And we'd work it out and be fair, and the union was happy. I'll tell you one that I had when I was battalion chief. This firefighter, he really had a alcoholic problem. And Mel Nonaka was his chief before me. And Mel said, let Lionel take care of it. Let Lionel take care of it. But he was our chief at that time. So, okay, I'll take care of it. I took my books with me, my manuals with me. I went up to the station, everybody out. Just him and I in a room, just him and I. Firefighter, man to man. I sat down, I put the books in front of me, and I told him, as far as I'm concerned, you fired. You are fired. But you tell me why I should not fire you. Why I should not fire you. And by God, that guy was working 4 jobs. He had his kids in Punahou. And the wife was not, anyway, they had some problems. And this guy, all his money, anyway, so what else he going to do? So anyway, when he got through telling me what his problems were, I thought to myself, I couldn't do any better than him if I was in his shoes. I couldn't. I mean, he was crying and everything, just between him and I, nobody in the room, only him and I. And I told him, okay, I'm not going to fire you, but you got to do this. So I had, at the city, had special programs on the civil service to help troubled employees. So I knew the guy personally. I told him, I talked to him. Then I introduced the guy to him, and the guy turned out to be a great firefighter. And I felt that was a great accomplishment. And the guy turned out to be a good firefighter. He retired. He got his finances fixed up, his marriage fixed up. Honestly, the guy cried like a baby. Actually, to tell you the truth, when he told me the story, I wanted to cry. I mean, really, the guy worked hard. He worked hard. But everything was against him. And I just told the captain, anytime, you do not react with the guy. You call me up in front of him, I told him. But the guy turned out to be, he had no more problems after that. No more problems, not one problem. But he turned around, which I'm very happy. What changed the most? When I came in, the trucks were 34 years old, 36 years old, and the life expectancy is 20 and 15 and all of that. But to convince the city that they had to buy equipment was a struggle. We had to re-indoctrinate them into their thinking. You see, you guys don't know, but when I came in, I'm talking upstairs as deputy and stuff. The finance officer, which was attached to the fire department, used to do all our budget. He'd say what we need, what we don't need. No, very little input. This is it, put before the chief, and okay, this is what we're going to have. But he's not a firefighter. He don't know, but he's a nice guy. He tried, real God, he worked hard, he tried, but it's the one and one that have to go down to break the ice with the city hall, with the budget department, the finance department, with everybody, all of that. And then we started to get new trucks. But talking to my son now, that has continued on, and which is great to have that correspondence between them. When I came in, I had trucks with mechanical brakes. You guys know what's mechanical brakes? Can you pull the guy on the side, the captain pull the brake, the handbrake all the way back, and he's lucky if it stops 2 blocks down the road. That's the kind of equipment we had. Oh, I can tell you a story about foam. We never had foam reserve in a firehouse. We only had maybe 10 barrels, 10 5-gallon barrels or something, maybe not even that much. So as a training officer, I did all my calculations. I worked with the federal fire department, who was up on foam. So I worked out, and then what was the reserve the fire department should have for reserve, because we had all the oil tankers, all the tanks and everything. So anyway, I submitted the budget. And I can tell you who the chief was at that time. He told me, what was our past record for last year? How many gallons of foam we used? I said, oh, last year I think we used only 5. He said, that's all we need, order. Enough. Anyway, I don't, anyway, now times have changed. At my time, when I came in, we're from the Second World War that did not get drafted. And they used to go right on the street. You passed in front of Central Fire Station. You were able-looking guy. They'd grab you and say, hey, come be a fireman. That's how they used to get in. Well, I can only talk from before. What does a new recruit should do? Well, I would say a new recruit, come in, keep his nose clean, observe, and do his work, what he's assigned to do. Don't come in and tell a captain what to do. You know, sometimes you have people who are educated and they see different things differently, and they want to try it that way. Yes, follow the rules, keep your nose clean, and do the work. And as time goes by, you feel your way through, and then you can express your opinion at that time, at the proper time. I always had that, even with my firefighters. When I was a captain, I said, when I get to the scene, I'm going to call the shots. And fine. And we're going to do it. But if you see something that I didn't see or I didn't come, please let me know. And we go from there. Because sometimes you don't see everything. You know, you only see what you think you see. What advice I'd give a captain? Like I said, times change. I don't know what it is in the firehouse now. I've been out a long time. But when I was a captain, especially with a new captain, oh boy, when I was a brand new captain, I had some challenging days with the old timers. I always tell my men, how's it go now? No wine, women, and song in the station. We just strictly go by the rules, you can follow the rules. You do your job, you do what you can. I won't bother you. But if you don't follow the rules and regulations that I'm supposed to enforce, then we're going to have problems. But the captain cannot. The worst thing the captain can do, I think, is tell a man, I don't know what I'm doing, so I need your help. That's even in the Army, they tell you that. Don't ever say that. Don't ever say, you're the boss. You got to make the decisions. You can take the advice, but never say that. Never say that. Because after that, they're going to run all over you. So, as a captain, you know the rules. You got captain, you got promoted. You took the test. You know what to do. You know what is proper. A future fire chief, what would I do for a future fire chief? Study hard. Study hard. You got to study every day. You got to stay every day. Firehouse is always changing. Study hard. Know what is required of you, and then also you got to be able to have good communications and skills with other people. Without that, you're in trouble. Like I said earlier, my belief was that you got to be fair. You have to be fair. If you fair with the men, you're not gonna. Usually, you're not gonna have any problems. You're gonna have a few guys disgruntled. That's life. That's life. But no, as my philosophy, when I went up to be chief, I wanted to be fair with the men. Like I said, the fire department had to be run with the men. As the fire chief, you got to look after them. The union's job is to look after the men. So actually, there was some correlation between the two. And I was lucky. Black and I kind of saw that, and we worked together. If there's a problem, let's solve it. Let's solve it. And one of the reasons that you guys all get these T-shirts now, because Black and we let it go. Black, I was against it first. I was really against it because tradition, right? But then Black convinced me that the T-shirts, and we are making a lot of sense. As the years went by, I see, yes, at least there's some kind of, actually I was worried about the T-shirts that would have false representation out there. They're not firefighters. But maybe, but not that I know of, but they get shirts, but they wear it. But like I got blasted one time for Kailua in a flood. The firefighters all went with their turnouts, right? And the flood was high, and you can work enough. So they took all the turnouts off, and they went back, and they went with their regular shirts, which was not the fire department shirts. And the people that needed help, they came, let's say, they came as firefighters, and they said they're going to come in back. But when they came back with their regular shirts, and the people thought it was somebody else and not the firefighters. So the lady was real upset with me. Says, "You firefighters never came back." But it was the firefighters. They came back, and they helped them. But like I said, now, when they take their shirts off, you can see and I see mainland fire departments too, they all have that shirt. So there was a good thing Black came out with. What made me want to be the fire chief? Well, I guess the DNA in me. Anytime I always want to go to the top. If I'm in a firehouse, I want to go to the top. I was in the National Guard, I wanted to go to the top. The evolution of the firehouse is going along good. But the one thing that the firefighters have to remember, that the Honolulu Fire Department was formed by royalty, the city administration, the needs for the fire department. When I hear Honolulu Fire Department, I feel that's family, and it's a family that's sacred to the breed of firemen. And they should always try not to bring any kind of bad impressions or whatever, because they try their best. They work hard under adverse conditions, and people don't know how adverse. And no, it means something to me. It's my family away from my family. It's my life, and I respect them.